I'm Travis Brown, founder and CEO of Mojo Up Marketing and Media, and this is my podcast where I talk to the most successful Black and Brown business executives who've broken through the barriers of today's business culture. Welcome to Mojo Up Live. I'm Travis Brown, and as you know, we're bringing serious leadership executives to this show to share their stories. And today, I have Akilah Darden. Not only is she an executive, but a business owner and a just amazing speaker, coach, and consultant. So please welcome my friend Akilah.
Hello, how are you?
Now, are you ready for this?
I'm always ready.
I told you we're coming in. We're coming in hot. Here's my first question for you today: is you are an executive, but you're also an entrepreneur. Like, talk about how do those two things work together, and ultimately how do you balance being an executive and a business owner?
It's a balance. One thing I would say is I was not going to get the position I have now as Director of Diversity and Inclusion at IU Health without being an entrepreneur and successful and exceptional. So I balance the two because they have some synergies. Mm-hmm. One is strictly supplier diversity for diverse vendors. So the Darden Group started, and the mission was to be intentional about equitable opportunities for diverse people and businesses. So with that, I was able to get a couple of clients, be successful there. People were watching. IU Health came to me, created the job that I wanted to have. Dope. And then I'm doing the same thing on a large scale. But in that, I'm a problem solver. So I solve problems. That's why I'm able to balance. So in order to be successful here, we have to train up and do courses. And also people are like, I don't see myself in construction. So I created a book to show them what they can be, because what you see, you can be. Mm-hmm. And I want to show people that dreamers do become achievers. So one is supplier diversity, getting vendors opportunities. The other is construction's a thing. And let's get together and get into that as well as getting you opportunity.
Well, and the reason why I started that question, because I wanted to frame our conversation today, because it's a unique background to have somebody who is an executive and entrepreneurship also. A lot of times people are one or the other, and it becomes a tough balance. But it's interesting because you're talking about how they kind of have driven both parts of you and allow you to operate that. So let's dive into from the business perspective. You talk about being on this mission to help Black and Brown businesses, and the truth is, for us. And this show, it's really about highlighting these stories to let them know that people like you actually exist out there and you're doing some big things. So talk to me about where are you at in that journey, and why is it so important to you right now?
So I think I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was good at what I did. So I was in construction for 23 years, building high rises, schools in Washington, D.C. It was hard. Diversity was killer, but I was successful because I knew if I was going to get to the table and stay at the table, I needed to be exceptional. I needed to be 300 times better than anything else. So through the adversity and the success...
300 times better?
Yes, 300. So I've built $2 billion in construction in 15 market sectors, all on time, under budget. So not only do people hear that, they see that because I can give them examples, whether verbally or nonverbal, through the pictures and the completion of my projects. So that was what I needed to do. Then I found out there's a problem. I had the solution because I used to build. I was out there in the field grinding.
Really?
So because of that, I was like, I can help diverse businesses. One, I'm diverse. 3 times diverse, right? So I was like, okay, let me take the skill sets that I have and let me share them. So I created an online course. Then I had a project, let me be the example and show people that we can bring diverse businesses to the table. It doesn't have to cost more money, and they can finish on time, under budget. So once you show people that, then you market that to other people who are looking for that same thing and problem solving. So I tell entrepreneurs, find out what you do it well, and then market what you do well. And the cherry on top is that you are a diverse business that can help them in the diversity realm.
I love that because we launched in 2022, our campaign for our company was Diverse and Talented. And I've been talking about this, all of our branding, our website, our stuff, our pitch decks all have our team on it that's diverse and says diverse and talented, because so often the narrative is it's an or. Like you got to choose. And our whole thing was, no, you don't have to choose, because I'm telling you, we are both. And it's not just us. You know, we're in the professional services side of it, and so like there's not a lot of us, especially in that marketing space. So I love that you're talking about, like, you go out and you do the work, like you prove concept, and now that you are diverse, like it marries that up. Now you talked about being 3 times diverse. Talk about your personal background and story of how you got to this spot from a diversity perspective 3 times, and what does that mean for other people that are trying to come behind you?
So, young, gifted, black and female, because that's a thing. So I grew up, my parents went to historically black universities and colleges. They were both teachers. So they instilled in me you can do anything, just put the work in. So then I was driven to be an architect, and I was very good at math. So I married the two, architecture and engineering. I found at HBCU, the North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Pride, the largest HBCU in the country. And I went there, and the first day I was on campus, the chancellor said, "Dreamers become achievers. I want you to write on something what you want to be." And I said, "Famous architect." And so from there, A&T, everyone was gifted, talented, young, black. So you threw that out the window. That was no longer an exceptional thing. That's what they expect. So what can you do in this world?
Hold on. I love you saying that. That's what they expect. Like there's that's minimum to pay to play right there. Like those expectations. The reason why I'm stopping right now is because so many people think that that's not really the mindset. And I love just to hear you articulate that. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I'm like, man, that's dope right there, because you said that's not the exception anymore. So what was the exception?
So I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. So it was like, and I was in honors classes. I was the only one, this, that, and the third. So I was the token or the shiny tool. When I got to A&T, everybody was. You can't get to A&T, especially out of state, if you're not exceptional. Exceptional with studying, exceptional with leadership and sports. You had to be exceptional all the way around. And so you had to find ways and means to be exceptional and not in those categories. So I knew I wanted to be an architect. I also wanted to change the game with construction. So every single facet of my life, I look for the challenge and I go to solve it. And that's what sets me apart. That's my differential advantage, because bring it on. Bring on the challenge. Like Cook Medical said, we want 100% diversity. And they gave me 45 days. So 100% diverse vendors to build on the Far East Side. So everybody knows about the 46218, which is changing and transforming. It's not what you used to think it was to be. So I said, okay. And then once I exceeded in 45 days to get all diverse companies, 97% African American and 3% women and veterans, only because we weren't playing in that space. They said, okay, now we want it built by diverse workforce. Said, bring it on. So we have between 35 and 75% of our workforce be people of color to match the demographics in that area. So when it's not about being black and female, it's about being exceptional. And when you're exceptional, then people want to hear what you have to say. What I tell people who want to start a business, I know people are like, know who you are and what you sell, but you have got to sell quickly. So when I meet with people and I network, I tell them 5 things. I say, whether it's the Darden Group or Aquila, is we build visions and exceed expectations.
Say it again.
We build visions and exceed expectations. So if I have you're leaning in, then I'm going to give you the 30 seconds, right? We are a construction management and training firm that does commercial projects and solve complex problems. So then people are leaning in to find out more. But building visions, right? Because I'm an architect, it's a vision first, then you put it on paper. Then it becomes 3D and helping people as a building, right? But I want you to know that I'm going to exceed your expectations, whatever they are. So Michelle Obama said once before, and I know I'm going long-winded on the question, she said, be greater than one's greatest expectation of you. So every room that I walk into, every keynote speech I do, I remember that. It doesn't matter what the audience looks like.
I mean, there's so many nuggets that you're just kind of dropping in there, and I don't mind you're rambling, your thoughts here because they're so powerful. Like just thinking about this level of exceptionalness. I don't know if that's a word, but I said it anyway. Being exceptional, and I think a lot of times, whether it's in our community or out with our kids, like just having that mindset. I do a talk called Be Great, which is the same concept, right? It's about being exceptional, doing all the things. Let me ask you this. What do you have to do to be exceptional?
The work. Know the work, do the work, and share how you did the work, right? So a lot of people want to be exceptional, but they don't want to do the hard stuff. If you are working on a project or you are in an organization and they give you something, but you see there's a problem and a need over here, take it on. And then when you do the work, investigate the work, learn as much as you can about the work, and then teach what you've learned, then people will see that and you'll get more and more challenges. So to be exceptional is to do the work, understand the work, and be able to explain verbally and non-verbally what you did. That's exceptional. It's not just doing the work. When I say do the work, I'm talking about heads down and knocking it out of the park. If they want A and B, give them A through Z so that they can see the thought process that went into it, the work that went into it, that you can communicate verbally, but you can also write it as well. And then you'll start to get more impactful work that's going to perpetuate your career.
I love that. And I think about that commitment to be exceptional, not only in a professional perspective, but also in my personal world, right? As a husband, as a father, as a friend, as a Christian, like all those things that are important to me that define me. How do you transform this or use this in your family world?
Yeah, so everything that I touch, I want it to be exceptional. So I've been married 15 years. My husband's awesome, Travis, what's up? And then I wanted to have the best marriage possible. My parents had an excellent example of that. So we made sure that we knew and were on the same page before we got married and also before we had kids. And that's time. It's putting in the work. Right? We're two separate people on paths and we're trying to get our career paths merged together so that we are successful, right? Teamwork makes the dream work. So once we figured out what that was, then we could start adding to the family. So our kids see that we're exceptional in our job, but we will stop. We have an end time. That's another thing. Work 8 hours. Be exceptional within the 8 hours so you're able to be successful with your marriage and be successful with your kids. So the kids see, oh, we give back too. We are exceptional about giving back, right? And we reach as we climb. Our kids see that. So we give, they give. And we sit down with them for homework. We can't tell you to be successful in your classroom if we don't show you. So we're down on our laptops, but you're also there learning and educating yourself in your classroom. That's your job right now. So we're an example of what we want you to be: work, marriage, professional. That's who we are. You're in sports too. You're going to take a teamwork role and a leadership role outside of school. And you're going to be able to manage the work-life balance, but your work is school and sports. And then when you're in the sports, so I tell my kids, if you're doing homework, if you're at school, if you're in sports, be in the moment and learn as much as you can in the facet that you are. So I want them to start thinking on different levels, being a teamwork and being exceptional, because you're in that moment working hard at the best that you can be, but you can still turn the dial and be well in sports, and then turn the dial and be well with your homework and academics.
I think that's super powerful for me as a dad and as a husband, because that's similar to my thought process. And I don't know if you saw us when you were in our conference room, but on the top left-hand side it says do the work.
Yeah.
And that's something that we really talk about is you have to put in the time, you have to put in the effort, and not just to do it, but do it at a high level.
Yeah.
And I love that you cross that over and how you run your family life as well. You have things together now. You're super successful as an executive wife, mother now. Take me back to when it wasn't that way. What was that hustle, that grind? What was that adversity like that you had to overcome to get here?
Well, I don't have it figured out yet because I'm not where I want to be yet. When you get to the mountaintop, it's the bottom of another mountain. So I'm always going to learn, I'm always going to grow, and I change my goals once I reach them. So I started construction in 99, but before that, I graduated from A&T in 99. I wanted to be in construction, not architecture, but construction didn't want me. So I went into architecture for 12 hours. Then I found out, okay, maybe I'm an extrovert, if you guys didn't know that. And a lot of architects are introverted, so it was a little much, right? So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go after the challenge. That's who I am. I got to solve this problem. Why do they not want me? So I ended up getting a job at Syntex Homes, building townhome structures. At that time, I wanted to be a professional engineer, and you have to work under a professional engineer to get that. Because you're successful, people want to keep you in a niche, especially if you are positively affecting the bottom line. So all I was going to do is townhome structures. So I jumped to a mechanical firm that was doing general contracting. So I was dipping my toe into construction through engineering. So we did the Dulles Airport tank farm.
Okay.
It was very, very tough. At that time, they didn't respect women. And if they did, you were admin or safety. Nothing wrong with those positions. We need them. But I just couldn't get the projects that I needed, the responsibilities. I will say I had strong parents that would fill my cup every single day, even though it was emptied in the first 5 minutes, because they literally told me I'm not supposed to be here. I'm going to have kids and leave the industry. We're not going to put time into you. So what I did was I got out of the trailer. And I started talking to the tradesmen in the field, and whomever would talk to me, I listened, and I learned how to build things. I learned the process. It was hard. I had my girl squad too, who filled my cup during the day. I would have to leave, get in my car, and call them, because I knew I was pioneering something, and it wasn't easy. But I needed an outlet to fill my cup so that I could go and fight the adversities. But what they couldn't take from me was my knowledge. They couldn't take from me, I speak a little Spanish. So if I saw some Hispanics or Latinx, I would speak in Spanish. I gained the respect because I knew everyone's name. I knew what was going on in the field. I knew the sequence of work. See, that's my field. If I knew how to build, they couldn't take that away from me. If I understood what was going on in the project and who was there and how many people and where they were located, then I would get my seat at the table. And when I got there, I didn't stand up. I made sure they knew exactly what I knew, who I knew, and how to build it. So I just kept being exceptional. Even the more they knocked me down, the more I got up stronger. And I continued to do that. So when I finally got my dream job of working at Clark Construction, the biggest contractor in the Mid-Atlantic, I knew that I had a bigger seat at a bigger table. In order for me to pioneer this, I had to be exceptional to show them that I wasn't who you perceived me to be. I'm a builder first, who happens to be female and diverse. And here's what I know. And I just build upon every single project.
Let me ask you this, because you made a comment about seat at the table. And, in our conversation and nowadays, we're talking about seats at the table and equity and and all that. Let me ask you this. What was that like being, I'm presumably saying the only, many times female, definitely black female, at the construction table? Like, what was that like?
It was hard. It was very difficult, and it was not good. It was not good. Most of the people that I was around never seen African Americans in a professional environment that wasn't a tradesperson. It was terrible. It was awful because I didn't get a seat. I actually had a seat, and I said, okay, if you think I'm an admin and that's what's going to take to get me into the room. I didn't have a seat. I stood up and I took notes. And then standing up, taking notes, I started to communicate what I knew from that position that I didn't want to be in. But I had to get into that room, because if you're not in the room, you don't know what's going on. Yeah. And then from there, they offered me a seat because I added value, because I knew how to solve problems. And when I got to the seat, I started running the meeting. So I went from note taking with the engineering degree to a seat at the table. I knew if I'm at the table that I'm going to help people be great.
Yeah.
And because of that, one of my mentees on my first project is now a senior vice president at Clark Construction in Orange County, because I didn't want to mess up his trajectory, because I knew mine was going to be more difficult. I wouldn't say impossible. So I always shared. It didn't matter your gender or your race, I always shared. And the more you share with others, the more you can stay at a table because they know it's not all about you. You're going to actually make me look good.
If you were having this conversation with your your college self now, or your young professional self, right, about getting at the table, being in the room, the famous Hamilton quote, want to be in the room where it happens. Yeah. Like, what would you be telling that person at this point in time? What would you say to yourself if you were going back 25 years?
I would say, speak up. You are that good. I would say take humble out of the way. People get that definition mixed up. It's not being humble. It is showcasing your experience and your confidence that you can positively impact the bottom line, because that's what it's all about. I would tell myself to speak up, and I would tell myself that it's okay to be emotional, but channel it differently. I know how to channel those emotions because I was always angry. I'm light skinned, so if I get angry, we do turn red, and then when I get mad, my eyes water, and it's not that I'm crying. So I would I would just talk to myself very, very quickly, and that it's okay. Don't beat yourself up because you're emotional about how you're being mistreated.
I think it's so powerful, and especially because young people today often want to get in that room faster. Which I think I'm 46, so 25 years ago, it was pay your dues, take your time, come up through the ranks, and I don't have any animosity for young people that want to get in the room faster, right? Mm-hmm. I was one of those, right? Yeah. But there's tact and skill that's required to be able to do that. So let me ask you. So you got in the room, you've empowered the room. So what's your responsibility now to help more people get in the room?
As soon as I got in the room, as I was walking by and I knew I had a seat at the table, I put a doorstop. So what I did was made sure I got more people in the room, but I equipped them that when they walked into the room and had a seat at the table, that they were exceptional. And then I told them, you're only here because I helped you, and I need you to reach as you climb and help somebody else. So it was a continuum of the table's getting bigger and it's getting more diverse. That's it. Mm-hmm. I go into the room and I put a doorstop, and I train. If I expect something, I will train my team in what I expect them to be so that we can deliver exceptionally. Mm-hmm. And I keep telling people that it's okay if it's not in a book. Mm-hmm. Let's create it. Let's invent it. Whatever we do, we're going to be exceptional at it.
Do you feel now in your role and your level of influence, do you feel any pressure, responsibility for that next generation? Is that pressure for you? Is that excitement for you? Is that opportunity for you? What does that feel like for you now?
It's not pressure. It's intentionality. It's expected. And it's not just the future generations. It's the older generations too. Mm-hmm. It's not really age for me. It's race and ethnicity and gender. I'm focused heavily on people of color in construction and what is a pipeline and pathway, and it doesn't matter your age. Let's get you in a seat where it's your sweet spot and you're going to be exceptional. Mm-hmm. I did say pressure at first, but then I realized the more people that win, the more I win. So it took the pressure off. It became an opportunity. And I tell people that it's not just about being intentional about equitable opportunities, it's outcomes. So then the pressure becomes an opportunity that not only do you get to the table, but that you're successful after you complete and that you grow. So I had to channel that pressure into excitement and opportunity. Mm-hmm.
Now, I know you're a big dog in the construction space, but it doesn't limit, your crossover power to help people doesn't limit to construction. So how do you facilitate stuff outside of construction to give Black and brown people opportunities as well?
Yeah, so yes, you're right. It's not construction, it's STEM. It's success through adversity. I mentor a lot. And it's not in the construction space because there's not too many of us in the construction space, even though I try every chance I get. I'm vice chair of Pass the Torch for Women, and most of the mentees are diverse. So now it's my point that I need to get more diverse people to give back. I have a lot of mentees of all ages, and what I tell them, if you want your cup filled, go mentor. Because what you do is you add value to someone else, and by that you get inspired and empowered that, you know what, I did do something, because you're reflecting on what you've done. You said big dog. I'm not there yet, right? But I'll take it. But it's also, getting in and volunteering in the spaces that I'm in. So I'm with Pass the Torch for Women. I'm also with ACE Mentoring, and I work in the technology space as well. But it's just telling your story and fitting it to the audience in which you are articulated, whether it's a mentee or in the crowd. I can transcend multiple industries, even motherhood, even marriage. It doesn't matter. And what I tell people, seek to understand before being understood. So when someone comes to me, it may be construction, it may be new mom. I listen and I add value based on my life experiences.
So in today's culture now, what does it mean for a Black female executive to have the opportunities that when you first started you didn't have? What does that look like, and what's the growth opportunity there?
The sky's the limit, right? Or just a suggestion, right? So I have a responsibility to make sure that I'm not the only one in the room, whether it's a person of color, African American, female, person of color who's female. I have to change perceptions. The more I change perceptions, the more easy it is for someone to look outside of their network. But right now I'm trying to expose my network to those who don't have networks to look like me, and and put my name on it. And they're like, okay, if she's exceptional, then the person that she brings is exceptional. I have to always be on my game. If they pull me from one meeting and say, you need to do a presentation in front of 25 people in 10 minutes, stay ready. Because I know that reflection that I bring will be Black, female, Black and female. And that's what I have. And as an executive, I need to bring more people who are exceptional so we change the game.
So we have our city MBE, we have our state MBE, we have our mid-state, so we have all of our MBE designations. Now, we're not in construction per se, but what does an MBE have to do to get put on by big corporations? And the reason I'm asking this contextually, because other people are listening or thinking the same thing. And we're primed for all of that, right? We're diverse and talented, we're on the map, we're doing great work, we're putting it in, we over-deliver. But the filming date of this right now, we've never had any success using our MBE, which is frustrating at times, and we're navigating through that to change that. But this is your space, so help people understand, how do they navigate this, because it seems overwhelming at times.
So first of all, congratulations that you're able to be successful without your certification, and I want people to hear that. The certification is a cherry on the top. You still have the ice cream and the whipped cream to get to before the cherry on top. When I started being successful with my business, it's not because I have all the certification, even federal. It wasn't that. How do you add value to me? And so what people do is, even at IU Health, when I meet subcontractors, they're selling me something, but they never ask me what I wanted. They never asked me, what is the opportunity? They didn't do the research, right? But if someone comes to me and says, hey, I know IU Health is building, and this is what I do. And I also know, because I saw you present, that you're looking for a diverse vendor. But start out with what you do and solving my problem, and then get to the goal of diversity. And you flip that. And also I tell people, if you want to be successful in any space, get those 5 words. Because if you start diving in and networking with that 30-minute conversation, you're not going to get anywhere. Seek to understand what it is that people are buying. And at the end of your presentation is when you introduce that I'm diverse and in these categories, but you already said, this is how exceptional I am. And then now I'm exceptional, I can provide this product or service. And in addition to, it goes into your diverse spin, because I looked on your website and you signed the equity pledge or this and that, right? So don't lead with certification. Lead with how you add value, and then add the certification based upon the problem you're solving because you did your research,
Right.
they sign the equity pledge or the $1 billion situation for diverse businesses, then you tie that in. Because what they're trying to do is listen and hear enough information to get to their boss or their board of directors to get you at the table. It's the different shift in mindset.
I love that. I think that's super helpful, just even for my own self, thinking through a couple of things right there. I have one tough question for you left, but before we do that, I got the hot seat. And the hot seat is me asking
That wasn't
you.
already the hot seat.
No, that's the chill seat right now. Hot seat is just kind of a little fun. I'm gonna ask you some questions. Tell me first thing or phrase that comes to mind. Right? Favorite place to vacation?
Anywhere there's water, a beach.
Coolest city that you've ever been to?
City. Can I say Bali?
You can say wherever you want.
So Bali was cool. So Bali for the first two answers.
All right. Favorite restaurant?
Anywhere the food is good and an experience. So if I have an experience and it's smoking and flaming, then I'm excited. I like to eat, by the way.
What about what's your favorite chain restaurant?
Ooh.
Because I'm a brand guy. Like there's something about chain and consistencies.
It depends. Fast food or sit down.
It's up to you.
Well, I have 4 kids, so I would say it's Culver's. I don't know, something about the ice cream and the kids' meal.
Favorite brand that you love?
Oh, see, I'm not going to answer that. Favorite brand that I love.
We're Nike Jumpman over here, so.
I do like my Jordans, but my favorite brand, and I will say it's beyond the brand, is Louis Vuitton. And the only reason I say that is because I do have stock in it, and I like their branding, and they haven't changed. They haven't changed their pricing. They haven't changed what they do much. And I have to say Louis Vuitton.
Favorite sports team?
Dallas Cowboys.
Ooh.
I shouldn't have said that, but it is.
Favorite college?
Oh, North Carolina A&T.
I figured. Favorite TV show?
Ooh. I'm not going to say that one or that one. Skip. I would say This Is Us.
There you go. Favorite movie or one of your favorite movies?
Love and Basketball.
Favorite kind of music?
Ooh. I love me some hip hop, but I also love me some gospel too. So in construction, if I'm going to a meeting, I will pull in gospel. I would say that's my first and foremost, but I'm a big Jay-Z fan.
Let's go. Let's go. That's me
Yeah.
too. Favorite charity you love to support or charities?
Ooh. I would say St. Jude is one of the top ones, but I'm raising funds for American Heart Association. So.
Oh, look at you. So you're off the hot seat, but I have one last question for you as we end today, and then we'll get you out of here. But there's going to come a time when there's going to be 2 numbers on the side of your dash, and it's going to be all over. What do you want them to say about Akilah?
She inspired. That's it.
She inspired. Well, I got to tell you, sitting in this chair today, you've inspired me just to think about the journey and and what you've been able to overcome to be in the situation that you're in today. That's not about you; it's about who's next. And I so appreciate that. Thanks for coming on the show. So it's time to wrap up. You officially got it to take the sign and give the "It's a wrap."
It's a wrap.